because of that trip and many other things. That's the least of it. The economy is doing great. The stock market's higher now than when I came to office, and we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariff money, and we've had no inflation. They kept saying inflation. There's no inflation. Groceries are down. Gasoline is way down, way down. Everything is down. All energy costs are down. I'll tell you, to me, maybe the most respected thing, you saw the way they respected me between Qatar and Saudi Arabia and UAE, probably the richest, certainly the richest of their type nation, great places, unbelievable amounts of money. They respect our country again. They were going to go to China. China was going to take over those countries 100%. They were dealing with China because they weren't treated right by the last administration. And they have tremendous economic power. They have more money than anybody. We probably have more money, but we have other things that they are very cash rich, to put it mildly. And they're spending 5.1 trillion. Probably it's going to be 7 trillion by the time we stop. And somebody said every other president goes and leaves and spends money, gives other countries money. I'm the only one that goes and takes money back. When you think of it, I said that's an interesting statement. I never thought of it that way. But we have this is really just a pep talk. We have a very unified House, and we have a very unified Senate. And Mike is doing a phenomenal job as Speaker. He's going to be there a long time.
That is the president talking about the investments made in the country after his trip to the Middle East. Jim, a lot of money did come in. We do know, thanks to the Washington Post over the weekend, that about half a dozen of those deals were announced before he became president.
Right. They are big deals. There's a lot of money coming in. That's terrific for jobs. If you listen to Jensen Huang at Computex, he would say, look, the biggest problem is going to be a job shortage. But we can make it up with robots. That's one of the things I hope David talks about when he sits down with Elon Musk later. But the economy is doing better than expected. There's no doubt about that. But we're all looking at what is happening with the deficit, and we're making decisions that rates are going higher, so it really doesn't matter. Look, I think the president's right. Boeing, I think, is a better story than it was before he left. NVIDIA is a better story than before he left because of, although there's some very big charges that I'm reading about that we haven't talked about in China. But that's not what we don't trade that. We don't invest that way. Apple's a worse story than when he left because Apple has this India situation. We can go on and on. I mean, Walmart was a story that he complained about, that they are raising prices, and then Home Depot doesn't raise prices. So do we buy Home Depot? Or is it worse that they won't raise prices? Right now, it looks okay. So, I mean, it's a mixed picture. And look, if I were him, I wouldn't talk well on the negatives. I mean, that's just not what you do in a political environment.
Yep.